what else. Let's just get started and have a look at the Linux security overview. So why do we have this slide about Linux security overview? Well, to help you understand that Linux security has developed over time. So what does that mean? That means that Linux comes forth of the Unix operating system. Unix operating system was first introduced in the early 1970s, and it was introduced in an environment that doesn't look at all like current IT environments. And they started realizing, like, hey, we need to do something about security. So what comes first? Well, first is permissions and capabilities. Folks, my mission here is to give you a quick introduction so that you know what it is and what is relevant in these topics. And also, depending on your questions and feedback about this quick introduction, I might decide to get deeper every now and then. And I have good news for you. You don't have to look at me anymore. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to be sharing my CentOS screen. You should be able to see that popping up right now, because I want to tell you a bit about these capabilities. I'm opening a root shell, and in my root shell I'm using ls-l etc shadow. There we have something funny. This is a demo that works on CentOS. On Ubuntu it doesn't work exactly, because what do we see on the CentOS system? We see etc shadow. That is a file. And don't you think the permissions are curious here? That is --. So nobody has any permissions at all. So how does it normally work? Well, if you compare that to ls-l on etc pass wd, we get the permissions, and these permissions basically are read, write, and execute. I'm going to assume that you are already familiar with these, so I'm not going to spend too much time on the basic permissions. So normally the algorithm is, hey, Linux checks, are you the user owner? If you are the user owner, you get the permissions of the user owner. If not, then Linux is going to check, are you a member of the group that is owner? And if so, you are getting the permissions of the group that is owner. And if that's also not the case, then you have the permissions of everybody else. So that's the UGO mechanism, UGO for user group and others. Now, what is going on with etc shadow? etc shadow has no permissions at all. So did you ever think about it? Cat etc shadow. Well, most of you probably already know what is going to happen. It is working. Now, the big question is, why is this working? Well, this is working, and if you want the not so deep explanation, because you are accessing etc shadow as the root user. But if you want the somewhat deeper explanation, in Linux kernel 2.4, if I'm not mistaken, capabilities were introduced. Let's have a look at man7 capabilities. And what are capabilities? Capabilities are like system rights. So permissions are providing access to the file system, and capabilities are providing access to parts of the operating system. There is, for instance, cap chown. That's a capability which provides the permission to change ownership. There is also capsysadmin. And what is capsysadmin? Well, capsysadmin is a capability that is allowing you system administrator access. Capsysadmin is what you can get through your root account. It's also what you can get through your sudo environment. But these capabilities have nothing to do with permissions. Bottom line, if you have the right capabilities, you can do without any permissions at all. And don't forget, this is just the somewhat shallow introduction to what it is that we are talking about when we are talking about these capabilities. I think I have another one, just to help you realize what is going on. I'm going to add a user add Linda. and there I'm going into home. Yes, AG, I think that's how you can say it. I'm just glimpsing over questions sometimes. Do forgive me that every now and then I'm not reading your question carefully enough, because that would interrupt too much in the flow of my teaching. But yes, AG, you are right. Demo about capabilities and permissions. I am going to use echo hello greater than root file. And I am going to use chmod 400 on root file, and ls-l is showing that the root file in Linda's home directory, owned by user root, not even owned by group root, and user root has read permissions. All right. Next, what are we going to do? Well, I'm going to open a shell as user Linda, su-Linda. And then what can we see? Linda sees the file root file. Now let's try a couple of things. First thing, cat root file. Is that going to work? No, that's not going to work. Second thing, echo hello greater than root file. Is that going to work? No, that is not going to work. Third thing, ch own. Linda root file, is that going to work? And no, that is also not going to work. So apparently a user Linda can't do anything with root file, and that kind of makes sense because user Linda is not in the Hugo list. But let's do something funny and let's do vim on root file. Is that going to work? And oh no, Linda cannot do a vim on root file. So I guess the only thing that Linda can do is rm-f on root file. That is going to work. Now, big question is, why can Linda remove a root file? Is that because of capabilities or because of something else? Well, my friends, that's because of something else. Let's have a look at ls-ld on the dot directory, where we can see that user Linda is owner of the directory with read, write, and execute. If you are the owner, you can remove the file. If you have the owner and you can at least read the file through others' permissions as well, then you can also change ownership and stuff. So sometimes there's a careful balance between capabilities and permissions. But good, I was only introducing the Linux security system. So let's get back to the slides and let me stay with the quick introduction to all these topics on the next slide. Group 2 passwords. I'm pretty sure at least half of you has attended an R8 CSA class or a Linux troubleshooting class or any other of these classes where I'm showing you that you boot into special mode, and if you boot into special mode, you can reset the root user password.